Imagine one day every words you know disappear. You're walking home, then a person sees a danger behind you. They freeze, their eyes widen, and one finger points over your shoulder. You understand everything. That silent message is older than language, and it may be one of the reasons language exists. Nobody knows exactly when language began because words leave no bones and grammar does not fossilize. Language probably did not switch on inside one brilliant ancestor. Instead, it grew slowly, one useful layer at a time. Long before words, your ancestors already carried an ancient communication kit. They had faces, eyes, hands, posture, touch, and voice. So a scream could announce danger, while a softer call could keep a child close. Bared teeth could threaten, but grooming and touch could repair trust. And when everyone suddenly stared in the same direction, you stared too. None of that required a dictionary. You can still see part of this older system in other apes. In Uganda's Budongo forest, researchers Catherine Hobater and Richard Byen recorded thousands of intentional gestures from wild chimpanzees. They identified 66 gesture types, including signals used to request food, travel, grooming, or space. Your ancestors, however, eventually did something even more powerful than sending signals. They began sharing attention. Developmental psychologist Michael Tomasolo has shown why pointing matters so much. A young child does not point only to demand an object. Sometimes, a child points simply to make you notice it too. Look at that. Now your mind and another mind are focused on the same thing. And that tiny triangle, you, another person, and a shared target, creates the foundation for teaching, planning, and eventually naming. So picture a group making stone tools more than 2 million years ago. Whether those tool makers had anything like words is unknown, but a skilled napper could still slow a movement, reposition a student's hand, demonstrate the correct angle, and exaggerate a mistake. In a modern experiment led by Thomas Morgan, 184 people tried passing Alduin-style stone tool skills down a chain. Watching alone transmitted the skill poorly, while teaching improved it, and spoken language worked best. Now, that does not prove ancient toolmakers talked, but it does reveal the pressure they faced, because the more complicated a skill became, the more valuable clear communication became. Then add pantomime. You point at tracks, imitate an antelope, stab the air like a spear, and gesture toward the river. The message is simple: animal, hunt, there. At first, that performance only makes sense in the moment, but when it is repeated often enough, the group begins to recognize its pieces. Eventually, a sound or gesture no longer has to resemble its meaning, because everyone has learned what it represents. And that is the crucial step: a signal becomes a symbol. Once symbols can be combined, communication becomes radically more powerful. You are no longer limited to reacting to what is happening right now. Instead, you can communicate about food beyond the hill, a predator seen yesterday, a hunt planned for tomorrow, or perhaps even a person who died years ago. Communication has escaped the present. Archaeology catches only the faintest traces of this transformation. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, Christopher Henshelwood and his team found a crosshatched design drawn in red ochre about 73,000 years ago. The cave also preserved engraved ochre and shell beads. The marks are physical evidence, but their meaning is not. They may have signaled identity, memory, beauty, status, or something completely lost to time. Still, they show that humans could create a visible design and preserve it outside the body. Now, a message no longer had to vanish when the gesture ended. By that point, spoken language may already have been ancient, but the artifact cannot tell you what anyone said. And that leads to the biggest twist of all: there may never have been a clean before language. Calls did not suddenly become words, and gestures did not retire when speech arrived. Instead, meaning accumulated in layers: emotion, gaze, rhythm, imitation, shared attention, learned signals, and finally, systems complex enough to express ideas that nobody could simply point at. Those older layers are still running beneath every conversation you have. You send a red heart instead of describing affection. You raise one eyebrow and reverse the literal meaning of a sentence. You wave across a noisy room, and you watch someone's eyes to decide whether "I'm fine" actually means the exact opposite. So even your most modern messages, are powered by ancient machinery. And if every word disappeared tomorrow while a leopard stood behind you, you would not be speechless. One frozen face, one widened pair of eyes, and one finger pointing over your shoulder. You would understand everything.